Baby mine, don't you cry. Baby mine, dry your eyes. Rest your head close to mine.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have been absent for a couple of weeks and there is a very good reason for that. I delivered my baby girl Remy on June 16th, 2016 at 2:21 p.m. So I've just taken a little time to get to know her and try to figure out how to be a mom. And it's been pretty amazing and pretty challenging as well. So I'm going to go over what happened, how the delivery went, and what it's been like since she's been here. So I'll go ahead and start with when we had her, or a little bit before that. I went to my 40-week appointment. I was 40 weeks and 4 days past at that point, or 40 weeks and 3 days past. Feeling really discouraged, as you could probably see from my past videos. I was really uncomfortable towards the end of my pregnancy and ready to get the baby out. My doctor had originally told me that he wouldn't be able to induce me until the 20th of June. So I was just dying waiting for that to get here. And it was really only a week past my due date, but it felt like a century. So anyways, I went to my 40-week appointment and the doctor checked me and said I was a lot closer. I can't remember how much I was dilated. I think he said 2 centimeters. And he said, do you want to be induced? And I said, yes. And he said, let me go make a phone call. So he left, he came back, and he said, okay, well, how do you feel about being induced in the next 24 hours? And I practically jumped for joy. I was so excited. So we scheduled my induction for 3 a.m. that night/morning, whatever you want to call it. So I came home, got everything as much ready as I could, and tried to get a couple of hours of sleep, which did not happen. I was just so anxious and nervous and excited that I just laid there awake. Aside from the fact that I hadn't been sleeping anyways because I was uncomfortable. But anyways, so 1 o'clock rolls around, get out of bed, go to the hospital. Some of my family was already there, which was really sweet. I had family there with me the whole time. And a lot of people say that they don't want that, but it was actually really comforting to me. And I liked having people to talk to and ease my mind and all that. So anyways, got to the hospital, filled out all the paperwork, and then they got me in my room. And the first nurse that I had checked me, and she said I wasn't dilated at all. So she was a little confused, as was I. And the check hurt really, 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 really bad because it was like she couldn't reach where she was trying to get to. And it was terrible. So anyway, she goes out and she says she's going to call the doctor and just make sure that he's good with inducing me. So I was kind of getting nervous because I was afraid that there was some sort of mistake or something. But anyway, she came back and said, we're all good to go. Then it was time for the IVs, and I have really bad problems with needles. I can't stand the thought of a needle going into my body. And IVs are always really bad experiences for me because they hurt and they can never find a good vein. Like they'll try and then either they'll blow the vein or it just doesn't go in right. So I knew it was going to be a struggle. So I had my husband there and he was there to hold my hand, and he's not a squeamish person at all. Like he'll watch them draw my blood. So they poked one vein and it blew, and I have like a big, you can probably see there's a bruise right there from it. Really, really hurt bad. And then they poked another vein and they couldn't get it in right. So then the nurse had to call what they call a SWAT nurse, which from my understanding is a nurse that's basically really, really, really good at everything. So she came in, found a vein, no problem, got the IV in. And I just kept thinking, well, why didn't you just call her to begin with? But whatever. So the funny thing about the IVs is my husband is not a squeamish person. When he saw them trying to dig the needle into those veins and it wasn't working, I looked over at him and I could see that his knees were shaking and he was looking really pale and he was acting like he was going to pass out. So he actually had to go sit down, which freaked me out even more. But luckily, we both survived it, and I finally had my IVs in, and they started the Pitocin right away. So a few hours went by, and they had me get up and walk through the hospital. The contractions weren't too bad. I could see them on the monitor, but they were just slightly uncomfortable, nothing I couldn't handle. So yeah, I went for a walk for about 5 minutes and then they started to kind of feel uncomfortable. I started to get tired. Pulling the IV stand thing with me was hurting my arms. So I decided, okay, maybe I should put this to a stop now. And then I saw my doctor walk in and he had me come back into the room so that he could check me. He did check me, and I can't actually remember where I was at that point. I think I went up to like 5 centimeters by that time. So we were definitely making progress. And I just laid in my bed for a while, and those contractions started getting really strong. So the nurse kept trying to convince me that if I didn't get up and walk, that I was going to be there for a really long time just waiting. But they hurt really bad, and I just did not want to walk around. I'd rather sit there and have it take a while than walk around and have excruciating contractions. So they started getting pretty bad, and I decided it was time for the epidural. So they called the anesthesiologist in, and she was absolutely amazing. She informed me of everything that she was doing and put my mind at ease. As far as how the epidural felt, it was not so much a pain as it was a really strange, uncomfortable feeling. A lot of like funny bone type of feelings and tingling and cool, like coldness. It was just a really strange feeling and it was gross, but we got through it. I just held my husband's hands and he sat in front of me until it was over. So once I got the epidural in, I was like a whole new person. I felt more relaxed and happy and calm than I had in months because I had been so uncomfortable. So not being able to feel anything in all that whole region of my body was just amazing. So a few more hours went by, and I believe it was around 1 p.m. They came and checked me and said that I was 7 centimeters dilated and 90% effaced. So I knew we were getting close at that point, but the doctor was like, oh, you probably won't have her until about 6 p.m. and it was like 1. So I thought I had quite a few hours to go. But within that hour, I started feeling a lot of pressure. And it was almost that feeling of like if you have a really, really, really bad number 2 and you're trying so hard to hold it, that's how I felt. I was starting to like grip the bars on the side of my hospital bed to get through them. And it's not that they were painful, it was just that I felt I needed to hold whatever it was in because I didn't know what was happening. So after a while, I kind of mentioned it to the family that was in the room. I said, I'm feeling a lot of pressure and I don't know what it is. And they said, well, maybe you should tell the nurse. And so I told the nurse and she said, okay, well, let's check. And she checked me and she said, oh, there's the baby's head. Like I can see hair. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's been trying to come out and I've just been like trying to not push. So they immediately called the doctor in. Luckily, he was still at the hospital at that time. And all of a sudden, just in a blur, they were putting the stirrups up and I had my legs up and we started pushing right away. And I believe it was a total of 4 pushes and she was completely out. It was really fast. It was a blur. I honestly don't remember a lot of it other than when I saw the doctor carry her and when they handed her to me. Other than that, it was really just so fast that I don't remember anything. As I was holding her, though, something kind of weird happened where the doctor was working on getting the placenta out, and I felt this big rush of something like fly out of me, and I didn't know what it was. I thought, like, did I have an accident? And the doctor kind of stood there for a second, just surprised. And I don't know what happened, but apparently after the placenta came out, there was a huge gush of blood that splashed all over the floor. And I didn't know what was going on, but everybody else just looked at it like they thought I was going to die. Um, but I was fine. Nothing bad happened. I assume my doctor knew what happened and didn't feel the need to worry about it. So that was really strange. But it ended up being okay. So, as far as labor went, it was really pretty painless, really easy, got her out really fast. The downside is that when that epidural wore off, I really, really started to feel the pain. And it turns out I got tears in all four directions. So I got a tear up, I got a tear down, I got a tear to the left and to the right, second-degree tears. What I think happened was that she just came out so fast that the doctor didn't really have time to, prepare for it. It was just so quick. So I really started to feel once that epidural was wearing off, and it all of a sudden became excruciating. They had me get off the bed and they wanted me to immediately go to the bathroom and pee after they removed the catheter. And the pain was so bad that I couldn't. And then I started getting really faint as I sat there on the toilet. And I threw up everywhere. And they gave me a barf bag and they sat me down in the wheelchair and hurried me to my room. But I just felt terrible. The pain was excruciating and nauseating, and I couldn't even, it was just really painful. So they got me to my room and they gave me a Percocet, and until the Percocet settled in, I was gripping my fists trying to get through the pain. At that time, I didn't really know that I had such bad tearing, so I was just kind of confused, like, why does this hurt so bad? I didn't expect it to hurt that bad. The Percocet started kicking in and I started feeling like $1,000,000 again. And then at that point, a lot of my family came back in the room and got to hold the baby and visit with me and stuff. It was really fun to talk to everybody, especially because I was on Percocet, so I just felt happy. And then, let's see, that night we slept, and of course I was wide awake. Is she okay? Do I need to feed her? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? I just pretty much laid there awake the whole night. We did breastfeeding actually right when she came out of the womb. She did latch on really easily. So that was cool. And, we worked on it throughout the night as well. The nurses would come in and ask me if I had nursed and if she had pooped or peed, that sort of thing. And then after a while, she was just kind of whimpering in the middle of the night. And I think at that point, me and my husband were already desperate for sleep because we had gone into the hospital at 3 a.m. So we let the nurse take the baby to the nursery for just a little while throughout the night so that we could get some sleep. But I still didn't sleep, so that kind of sucked. But I was just too excited. So the next day rolls around, the doctor comes in, talks to me, and, asks me if I want a prescription for the Percocets. I didn't think I wanted them, but I did end up getting the prescription just to be safe in case it got really painful again. So I got that, and then we just kind of hung out in the room for a while. They did the hearing test, the vision test maybe, or something like that. Just all the testing that they do on newborns. And everything came back great, no jaundice or anything. So that was awesome. She was born at 8 pounds, 13 ounces. And by the time we left, she was 8 pounds, 9 ounces. So barely lost any weight. Anyway, so yeah, and then the very next day, after they got all the baby's testing done, we got to go home. And that was exciting. But unfortunately, once we were going home, that is when the postpartum struggles kind of started. I started feeling really overwhelmed and nervous and full of anxiety over the fact that I was taking her home. Um, and it's probably been one of the hardest things to get through. I was not at all prepared for the hormonal changes in my body after I had her, and they started immediately. From the minute she came out, I felt different. Um, of course, I felt really happy and overjoyed that she was here, and I love her. But it's also hard to just everything changes. Your relationship with your spouse changes immediately. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it can get hard. Um, and my routines change, like my body's changing. I'm going through all this stuff. I just was not prepared for what becoming a first time mom is really like the first few weeks. So I started having really bad anxiety at night because the first night the first night we had her home, she was good. She slept on and off throughout the night, so we just took turns feeding her and diapering her. Um, but I really started struggling with the breastfeeding concept. I felt like I was starving her because nothing was coming in, and she was like fighting me to latch on. Like she didn't want to latch on at all. So every time I would try to feed her, she would cry and scream and pull her head away. And that felt really defeating as a mom because you just don't understand, like, why is this not working? Another thing that was really hard is that because only I could feed her, I felt like taking care of her was all my job. I just felt like breastfeeding was already overwhelming me so much. So we kept trying it for a while. Anyway, the second night was really, really hard. She was like screaming bloody murder until she was purple in the face. And we could not figure out what the problem was. I had no idea. We tried so hard to figure out what we could do to help her, and it took about 3 hours of screaming for her to finally settle down and go to sleep. But I just remember laying on my couch with her in my arms, just listening to her scream and feeling so helpless. Like I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help her. I didn't know why she was crying. I tried everything, gas drops, feeding her, pacifier, cradling, swaddling. I was at a loss. So, I just remember laying there and thinking, like, I honestly thought, what have I done? Is this going to be my life every night? Is just screaming? And I thought, maybe I made a mistake, and I felt so bad for thinking that because I love her. But that's just kind of how I felt in that moment. Because if you've ever been around a screaming baby like that, it is so jarring and like terrifying when you're responsible for them because you don't know what to do. So I feel like that kind of scarred me. So for the next week or so, I just kind of started to get really bad anxiety as nighttime came up. The minute the sun started going down, I started getting really nervous and anxious that was how my night was going to be again. And I'm still trying to get over that. I definitely have suffered some like postpartum blues. I've cried more than I have ever probably. I cry over happy things and I cry over things that make me upset or sad. Usually when the sun goes down is when I start to get really weepy, and I just try to keep all the lights on in the house and try to keep things bright and happy so I can get through it. I definitely say a lot of prayers just to help myself, just to pray that, the night will go well and that my husband and I can get through it and wake up and be happy. And yeah, if you've ever been around a screaming baby, you know that it's just like, it's really hard to handle. So anyways, still trying to work through the anxiety and the postpartum, like the baby blues, but I don't want to jinx it, but I do feel like it's starting to fade away. Today actually was the first day where I kind of woke up and felt like I have a routine. Like I take care of the baby in the morning. Um, I feed her, I diaper her. She goes to sleep and I try to get stuff done. Luckily, my husband is off work with me for 3 weeks. So that's been a huge blessing because I can't imagine him already being at work and me just being by myself. So, yeah, that's pretty much it so far. Other than that, she has been a really good baby. She doesn't scream like that anymore, knock on wood. I don't know what the problem was for sure, but I think that before my milk came in, she was just really hungry. And that was another thing I wasn't prepared for. I never really thought about the fact that your milk doesn't come in right away and that she probably was just really, really, really hungry. And that makes me feel so bad, but there's really nothing I could do about it. So yeah, that's pretty much an update. She is the cutest baby. I love her. She loves to listen to music. She's starting to pay attention to when I play like lullabies. She loves to just lay flat on her back with her arms and legs kind of out. She sleeps really good in a swing, doesn't sleep good flat on her back. But yeah, it's been really fun to get to know her, and birth was the most incredible experience, and motherhood has been the most challenging experience of my life. But I'm starting to see the rewards already show through, when I see her happy and I can tell she's content. It's a really good feeling, and I love just sitting there and talking to her and just getting to know her and bonding with her. And I love seeing her, sound asleep on my husband's chest. It's really cute. But yeah, that's pretty much an update. Just as far as where I'm at so far and what it's been like to be a new mom for a little over a week now. I definitely wanted to get this video up because I've been asked a lot if she's been born. Thank you all for the nice comments, by the way, on like Instagram and YouTube. It really means a lot that you guys care and that you want to know what's going on with me and the baby. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I have a lot of fun videos planned for the future, a lot of baby related and a lot of just like life related stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, comment, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.